Every now and then, the entertainment industry presents us with a Hollywood powerhouse couple, and that's exactly what Common and Tiffany Haddish were. The relationship between the rapper and the comedian seemed strange at first, but eventually many people began to view the couple as goals. But then, much to everyone's dismay, the pair split up in 2021 after over a year of dating. And while Tiffany Haddish has spoken about the breakup previously, now Common is telling us the real reason behind the split. Before they hooked up, both Haddish and Common had been in some pretty bad relationships over the years. Haddish was married in 2008 to William Stewart. She referred to Stewart as the love of her life, but the couple divorced in 2011, so he definitely wasn't the one. Any relationship she entered into after were quiet and not really talked about in public. Common has had his share of big-name celebrity girlfriends, like Taraji P. Henderson, Serena Williams, and Erykah Badu. Because of this, he got labeled as somewhat of a playboy in the industry. He started dating Angela Wright in 2017, who was a well-known political activist. At best, their relationship could be described as on-again, off-again. And while it may be fair to say that it's not surprising that his relationship with Wright wasn't really working because of his past dating failures, it's also important to remember that dating in the entertainment industry is like dating on hard mode. But to his credit, Common owned some of the responsibility for the relationship's failure. After his breakup with Wright, he revealed that he started going to therapy. He said he felt as though there was something missing in his romantic relationships and hoped that therapy would help him identify that missing piece. Once he'd progressed through therapy, he did a Good Morning America interview where he stated he was ready for a relationship and to settle down.
You have to understand you're not going to get anybody that's perfect because you're not perfect. So understand that there's some certain things that you will compromise in choosing that partner. But as long as the core values, the values that are most important to you, that person, marks off on that list, then you good.
That's one way to introduce yourself back into the dating world. Most people just use Bumble, but Common really went the extra mile and put himself out there. Then Common and Haddish met on the set of a movie, The Kitchen. Rumors immediately began flying the two were dating, but they initially denied them. Actually, during that time period, Common had reunited with Angela, saying that he felt like he was a better partner to her because of his therapy. Some people thought that the pair would eventually get married because they seemed so happy together this time, but as they'd done so many times before, they split up. This time, it was only after a couple of weeks. That opened the door for him to get with Tiffany, and by the first part of 2020, the pair were dating. For a while, they were in that talking phase, and it seemed to take longer than many people were happy with because fans were begging them to make it official already. They did eventually make it official in mid-2020. Tiffany announced their relationship on a FaceTime call with her friend Gabrielle Union, and the internet was overjoyed with the news. They were constantly gushing about each other after that and talking about how happy they were with each other, but that started changing mid-2021. Tiffany has been quite vocal about her desire to have kids, whether that be biologically or through adoption or fostering. She was herself a foster child, so she wasn't turned off by the idea of fostering a child herself. But Common has stated that he doesn't ever want to have kids. Because of that, there was such a major disagreement, it was one of those things that contributed to their split, although not the only factor behind it. When Tiffany turned 31 in December, she was hoping that Common would really do it up for her birthday. She said, "I'm just hoping that me and my man, we go in hot air ballooning and have us a nice little meal. That's what I would like to do." It didn't really turn out the way she'd planned it though. All she got from Common was some flowers, and they definitely weren't delivered in a hot air balloon. That's when people knew that things between the two had cooled down. That's about the time Tiffany said this to People magazine. "He's still not the whole entire package, but he's a majority of the change that I need. I don't think anybody is the whole package. I might be a pessimist in this way, but I don't think there's any person that's the whole shebang, everything you want. I think that's impossible." If that doesn't sound like someone that's lowered their expectations, we don't know what does. But she still was hoping they'd be the endgame, and she said she hoped Common would propose to her with a piece of land. Here's what he said about that.
I'm gonna do what's good for me and the lady. Right now all I want is happiness, good times, peace on earth.
So that definitely isn't a statement made by a man that's in a hurry to rush down the aisle with his woman. The split came in November 2021. The pair cited being too busy to have a relationship as the reason for its untimely end.
Tiffany and I got back on the move. It really didn't allow for us to spend as much time and put as much energy into our relationship. I don't think the love really dispersed. I just think it was just like we weren't feeding the relationship.
Of course, everybody knows that being busy is the first excuse that celebrities make when they break up. And while it's sometimes a legitimate excuse, we all know that in a lot of cases, if they really worked at the relationship and wanted it, they could work around busy schedules. But the busy excuse is usually the kind of blanket statement that people use to throw people off so they don't have to tell people what really happened. There were several issues in the relationship that Common really couldn't ignore. She really pushed the kids issue, and he didn't want kids, so of course that made him feel uncomfortable and upset, and he didn't really see any future with the relationship because of it. She also started aggressively asking and hinting and talking about a proposal, which he also didn't want. She started making public statements about wanting him to propose to her, which was really what pretty much made up his mind that he needed to break up with her. Haddish did an interview with Jason Lee on Hollywood Unlocked, and when he said that Common moved around through a lot of different women and all his relationships resulted in breakups, and that a lot of people speculated that he was the common denominator in those breakups, she said this.
He might be the type of person that never really settles with somebody. Maybe he's like he's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower. I don't know. I wish him nothing but joy and happiness. He will always be cool.
Lee said that sounded like the PC answer she was supposed to give, and then she said this about the breakup.
I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. I was like, oh, okay, because that's not what you told me, but okay.
So obviously, that breakup wasn't as mutual as it was originally made out to be. Tiffany was surprised and hurt by the breakup. It caught her off guard, which of course makes sense if you're wanting your man to propose to you and buy a piece of land and all that. Of course you're not going to be happy if his response to that is to break up with you shortly after you saying that. But it begs to question what really was the driving force behind the breakup. But since then, an insider has revealed that there were other red flags that Common saw. Although it wasn't explicitly stated, one of the red flags that was implied was the child sex abuse allegations and lawsuit against Tiffany Haddish. If you don't know, an anonymous woman claimed that Haddish and another comedian named Ari Spears filmed her and her brother when they were 14 and 17 performing sexual acts. Some of the things Haddish was accused of included inflicting emotional distress, sexual harassment, sexual battery, sexual abuse of a minor, and gross negligence. One of the videos the comedian shot was called Through the Eyes of a Pedophile, and included things like the boy getting rubbed down with baby oil and playing in the tub, while the pedophile, Spears, watched him and smoked a cigarette. Supposedly, these scenes were so traumatic that the boy ran home crying to his mother and told her he didn't want to do it anymore. The lawsuit was eventually dropped, and Haddish's lawyer said that their mother had been trying to assert these bogus claims against Ms. Haddish for several years. Every attorney who has initially taken on her case, and there were several, ultimately dropped the matter once it became clear that the claims were meritless and Ms. Haddish would not be shaken down. Now, there are some facts behind this case because the video was actually uploaded to Funny or Die and then removed, and Tiffany Haddish herself has spoken about the incident, saying, "I know people have a bunch of questions. I get it. I'm right there with you. Unfortunately, because there's an ongoing legal case, there's very little that I can say right now. But clearly, while this sketch was intended to be comedic, it wasn't funny at all. And I deeply regret having agreed to act in it. I really look forward to being able to share a lot more about this situation as soon as I can." There are a couple of telling things about that statement. Haddish doesn't deny filming the sketches or acting in them, which means that she doesn't deny that they happened. She also doesn't deny that they were in poor judgment. But what is being denied is her intention to hurt the kids, and we can't really speak on intent. The insider doesn't reveal how much Common knew about the case, but they do say that he knew just enough to know he needed to get out of that situation before her career was ruined and it drug him down with her. When you put it all together, she tried to force him into marriage and buy her some land, and then there were those accusations and a tape. So, yeah, it's safe to say that Common saw some red flags and decided to dip out of that situation, and we can't really say we blame him. So, what do you think? Do you think Common should have stuck by Tiffany's side through her legal problems and showed her some support? Or do you think he was right to leave and save his own career while he did? What do you think about her being so pushy about engagement and settling down? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe so that you won't miss more great videos from us.